Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are cracking open a topic that I think is one of the most essential and honestly one of the trickiest skills in the professional world.
Oh, definitely. It's something everyone has to do, but so few of us are ever really taught how to do it well.
Exactly. We're talking about how to ask for help effectively, without feeling awkward or weak or maybe even like you're being too demanding.
That's right. And this deep dive is going to be super practical. Our mission here is to go way beyond the textbook phrases. We want to pull out the kind of natural native language that lets you be both polite and direct.
Yeah, to help you sidestep that whole cultural friction zone where you might accidentally sound like you're putting yourself down
Or
or
the opposite, right?
too aggressive.
Right. So if you've ever just sat there, staring at a draft email or hesitating to walk over to someone's desk wondering, is this too pushy? Or should I be apologizing for taking their time? hmm Then this analysis is absolutely for you. Our goal is pretty singular, to give you total confidence in making requests, whether you're face-to-face, writing an email, or, just dropping a quick message in Slack. And the language is a huge part of it, but as we'll see in the source material, the mindset you bring to it is just as crucial for making it all go smoothly. We're aiming for efficiency, respect, and zero awkwardness.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Before we even get to a single phrase, we have to talk about the mindset. Why is asking for help so emotionally difficult for so many of us?
Well, a lot of it comes from a cultural misunderstanding. I mean, many people have this built-in assumption that needing help means you're incompetent or you didn't prepare.
That you've failed somehow.
Exactly. But in modern English-speaking workplaces, especially in the US and the UK, the standard expectation is collaboration. Teams are built on the idea that people have different skills.
So it's not a bug, it's a feature of the system.
It is. Asking for help isn't just normal, it's often seen as a sign of good time management. It shows you recognize a problem and you're actively trying to solve it before it gets bigger.
That's a really powerful shift right there. It's not a personal failure, it's a professional strategy.
Absolutely. And when we look at the requests that work, our sources point to three non-negotiable elements you have to prioritize. One, being crystal clear. Two, being respectful of their time. Okay.
And three, and this is probably the biggest one for people to get over, not over-apologizing.
See, that's the one that feels so counterintuitive. If I'm asking for a favor, shouldn't I be extra polite to make up for the intrusion? Why does saying sorry too much actually backfire?
It's a really crucial distinction. In this context, an apology implies you're guilty of something, a mistake, a huge inconvenience.
Well, okay, I see.
So if you start with, I'm so sorry to bother you, but you're accidentally changing the whole dynamic. You're telling them your request is this massive burden.
And that just makes it awkward for everyone. Now they have to manage my feelings and do the task. Precisely. Politeness should be about respecting their time and expertise, not about diminishing yourself or feeling guilty that you need to collaborate.
So the key is to swap out those apologies for phrases that manage expectations about timing.
That is the key.
Perfect. So with that mindset in place, that this is normal and expected, let's get practical. Let's talk about spoken requests. Face-to-face, on a video call, where your tone matters immediately.
Right. For spoken stuff, you need phrases that are direct enough to be clear, but polite enough to, keep things friendly.
So what are the go-tos?
For a simple task, the most reliable and natural phrase just uses the word could. Could you help me with this? It's short, it's clear, and it's gentle.
And what if it's less about a task and more about, say, getting advice? I don't need them to do it, I need their input on it.
That's where you elevate the language a bit. Instead of asking for help with a task, you ask for their expertise. Can I get your input on something?
Ah, I like that. It frames them as an expert, not just an extra set of hands.
Exactly. It values their opinion.
I also notice in the sources that the lead-in, the first thing you say, is almost as important as the actual question.
It's so important. The phrase, "Do you have a minute?" is just a fantastic opener.
Why that one specifically?
Because it checks their availability right away. It signals your request is brief. And if they say no, they're just saying they don't have a minute. They're not rejecting you or your request. It saves face for everybody.
Okay, so let's go back to softening these requests without saying sorry. You mentioned it's all about adding conditional language.
Yes, that is the golden rule for verbal requests. You condition it on their schedule. So instead of, I need you to look at this now.
Which sounds very demanding.
Very.
Yeah.
Instead, you use these softening phrases. When you have a free moment, could you look at this? Or, if you don't mind, can you review this sometime this afternoon? It shows you respect their workload, but you're still clearly stating what you need.
The source material had this perfect little dialogue that shows how this flows in a real office.
Yeah, let's just map out that quick, natural exchange. So person A starts by checking if the other person is free. Hey, do you have a minute?
Person B responds immediately, sure, what's up?
Yeah.
And then person A delivers the clean, simple ask, could you help me double-check this file? That's it. The whole thing takes maybe 3 seconds. It's effective, clear, no wasted words. And no, I'm so sorry, I know you're busy, but...
None of that self-deprecating fluff.
Okay, this is where it gets, for me, really interesting, because now we lose all the vocal cues. How do we do this in writing? I mean, an email is a minefield. You can sound so demanding if you're too brief.
You're right. The main goal in an email is to sound considerate and professional. You have to establish the tone before you make the ask. You need a buffer.
You can't just open it with review this.
Definitely not. Our sources give some great natural openings. You can use a friendly check-in like, hope you're doing well, or if you're in a hurry, you can go straight to the context, like, quick question about the Q3 budget.
That little buffer sets the stage.
It does. And once you've done that, then you bring in those polite but direct phrases. We lean really heavily on conditional words. Things like, could you please review this when you have time?
Or would you mind sharing your thoughts on this section?
Exactly. Or, for something specific, I'd appreciate it if you could help clarify this point. You see how the conditional language, when you have time, would you mind, is what does all the work of being polite?
I think a lot of people also really struggle with how to end the email. It feels awkward, signing off after you've just asked someone to do work for you.
And you neutralize that awkwardness with appreciation. It's so important to close correctly. We specifically saw how effective thanks in advance can be.
Now, thanks in advance can sometimes feel a bit presumptuous, can't it? What's the cultural take on that?
It can, but it's really a linguistic shortcut. It signals that you're confident in the collaboration, that you're relying on their professionalism. It's polite shorthand. And if you pair that with a sincere closing line like, I really appreciate your help on this, you just sound confident and grateful. You hit both marks.
Okay, now let's pivot hard. The world of chat tools, Slack, Teams. This is where all the rules seem to just break.
They really do. Chat communication basically throws most of the email rules right out the window. The whole style is about short messages, fast exchanges, and there's a very low tolerance for long paragraphs.
Yeah, if you send a 10-line message in Slack, you've probably already failed.
You have. The natural chat phrases have to be quick hooks. We're talking about things like, hey, quick question, or the super common, do you have a sec?
Or just the direct line, can you help me with this?
Right. The key difference is that short messages aren't just normal, they're expected. The source material had a great example of this. You don't need the hope you're well buffer. You just start with, hey, do you have a sec to look at this?
And the colleague responds, sure. Maybe with a thumbs up emoji.
And the original sender just says, thanks. And that use of the emoji is actually really telling.
That's a fascinating point. Since we don't have tone of voice in chat, how important are those nonverbal cues, like emojis or even capitalization?
Oh, they're vital for setting the tone. An emoji like a thumbs up or a smile, it just acts as a linguistic lubricant. It confirms a friendly, collaborative vibe.
And on the flip side, what about capitalization?
All LCPPS in a professional chat reads as shouting. You absolutely have to avoid it in a request. You're asking for collaboration, not barking an order. The length of the message is also a signal. If you need more than, say, 5 lines of context, that request needs to be an email.
That makes sense. It's applying the right set of rules to the right medium.
It is. And this brings us perfectly into our last and I think most important discussion point. We've talked about what to say. Now we need to cover what to actively avoid.
Right. The phrases that, even with good intentions, just create discomfort or make you sound less competent. Exactly. So the big question is, what specific self-sabotaging language should we just cut out immediately? This is the do not say list. The first one, which we kind of touched on, is that overly apologetic opener. Sorry to bother you again.
Ugh, yeah. That phrase implies your need for help is a recurring problem for them. It puts a tax on the relationship.
It does. And then there are the phrases that just scream inadequacy. You have to cut out things like, I'm really bad at this, but...
Or the one I hear all the time, this might be a stupid question. By calling your own question stupid, you're forcing the other person to first reassure you before they can even answer the question. You're putting them in the role of a therapist instead of a colleague. So the rule is to stay confident and neutral.
Yes.
Your value is in seeking clarity, not in pretending you're flawless.
So instead of those phrases, what are the better, more self-assured alternatives? For when you genuinely feel uncertain.
Instead of apologizing for needing help, reframe it as valuing their expertise. Try something like, I'd appreciate your advice on this.
I like that. It makes them a consultant.
It does. It makes the request feel important. Or if you're just trying to confirm a fact, use professional language like, I want to confirm something about the timeline. That positions you as someone doing their due diligence, not someone admitting they don't know something.
So the big takeaway here is that professional requests are about competence and clarity, not about this performance of humility.
Exactly. Native speakers value clear, confident communication because it's just faster. It speeds up collaboration. So to wrap all this up, let's nail down the core philosophy for you. The big thing to remember is that effective requests in English follow 3 C's. Be clear about what you need, be conditional or polite about their time, and be confident. And remember that native speakers see asking for help as just a fundamental, required part of getting work done.
And by using the language we've talked about, the direct phrases, the conditional softening, the clear appreciation, your requests are just going to sound natural and professional.
And it signals that you respect their time, which ultimately just smooths everything out and helps your whole team move faster.
It really is all about making the request easy for the other person to receive and easy to answer, just reducing that friction.
Indeed. And finally, here's a provocative thought for you to chew on, building on what we discussed about email versus chat.
Okay.
Given this relentless shift toward quick, casual communication tools, how might our very definition of politeness in requests continue to evolve? And, more practically, what do you think is the maximum acceptable length for a text request in words, not lines, before it absolutely has to be moved back into an email?
Something to think about the next time you open up Teams. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Until next time.